All right, good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and as always with me today is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast. This is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. Before we get on with the show, I'd like to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and visit us on Twitter and Tumblr. If you want to make fun of our trophy list on the PSN, you can find me at anchorless_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at jakesaw01. And as always, you can write the show at psthisisawesome@gmail.com. And most importantly, don't forget to share this show with your friends and be sure to leave comments and rate the podcast as you see fit. Before we get started, I want to say that I've been posting some reaction opinion trailers. Sorry for trailers that Sony's posting on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen any of those, Jake, but because of this, I've been able to get an additional, I think, 1,246 views of content.
That's good.
Hopefully it's bringing in some new fans to the show. Yeah. So I hope if you're listening, you're enjoying that content. It doesn't really take me a whole lot of time to do. I got my OBS set up so I can just get on there. I've essentially just been pulling up YouTube videos that PlayStation are posting and then watching them for the first time and talking about them and just putting the videos up. But this is episode 141. We have reached the 140 summit, I guess. So here we are, Jake. Not really a lot of news, but important things have happened, I guess, in the last week involving PlayStation. Are you still like playing the same games?
Yeah, pretty much. I downloaded The Last of Us Remastered.
I was going to ask you about that.
But I haven't started it yet.
It's right here on my notes. Jake, have you jumped back into The Last of Us yet?
Because that goes, let's see, it comes out the 19th. So that's in 3 weeks. A little under 3 weeks.
Yeah, dude.
So it shouldn't take me that long to get through it.
You're just going to play it on easy again?
Yeah. But I'm still trying to get through Final Fantasy VII. I just was playing this part this morning that's just, there's some things that are just super, I love the game, don't get me wrong, but there are like things where it's like, this is just fucking annoying and you're just kind of extending the game by doing, I don't know if you ever played a game before where it's just like, you have to do a mission or a quest or something like that. And it's just, they're just making the game longer by just like fluffing it up with this just bullshit where you have to like go from A to B to C to D to E to F to G to get something that should only take you like 2 seconds to get.
Right.
And I just have been doing that on this mission. It's like, I'm like, right at the end of I don't know, probably I think I'm right at the end of the game. I'm like within the last chapter or so of the end of the game.
Yeah.
And it's
like just so time consuming.
Yeah, and it's the problem is that it makes it hard for me to want to pick it up and finish it.
Yeah.
But I'm still kind of plugging away at that. I still really like the game. The combat's really fun and everything. Sarah and I actually started playing The Life is Strange 2.
Yeah. Did you get through the first episode?
It got through the first episode, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if I'm going to play Adventures of Captain Spirit or whatever. I might just look it up and see what's going on with it.
Yeah, it's not super relevant, really.
You know, because that was something that came out before. I feel like they probably even had the story fully fleshed out for Life is Strange 2.
Yeah, they kind of just choked it in, I think, just to make it relevant.
Maybe you can answer this.
Yeah.
I don't know, but whenever I started the game, it was like, did you
let Arcadia Bay devolve or whatever?
Yeah, did you let the bay get demolished or whatever?
Yeah.
And then, so like, I actually did both endings of the first Life is Strange.
So did I, yeah.
But I chose the first one that we did was we let the fucking town get destroyed.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
So that's what I picked. I was like, we'll just pick that because that was the first one I did. And there's like a little story beat where you like are like driving and you get to this like overlook and it like overlooks the destroyed town of Arcadia Bay. Is that the only reference in the game? Or
I think maybe. I think it seems so irrelevant and stupid, but I guess they just want it to be canon. Your playthrough.
I guess now I'm curious, like, what would that sequence have been had I picked the other thing? You know, would they just have ignored that altogether or what?
You would have looked down and saw a bustling city and they'd be like, too bad we can't go down there. We'll probably get caught. You know, I don't know. But like, it's one of those things like these choose your own adventure games that are, and I use the phrase choose your own adventure because I'm like plowing through these old Lone Wolf choose your adventure books still. But they tend to ultimately lead you to the same situations and they give the illusion of choice. Now, granted, some of the minutia of the story plays out maybe slightly different, but I think ultimately you're still getting funneled to the same end result. And granted, maybe the end of the game will be different based on your last decision that you have to make, but depending on what you decide up until that point, I think you're going to ultimately have pretty much the same experience anyway. But, your choices are your own and you kind of get attached to those. And that illusion of choice or the freedom of choice actually makes you feel more invested in the story, I think. I don't know.
I mean, that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah. So I don't know that it really matters what you pick. I think that you're still going to end up at that overlook. And I still think that you're going to have a conversation with your younger brother about what is down in the valley. It's just a slightly different conversation.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird because it's just like in the Walking Dead season 1, for example, spoilers. If you didn't play it, you're an idiot if you haven't, but at the end of that game, no matter what you did, Lee was going to die. Right. It was inevitable. There are just certain things in these, it seems like they kind of have to do it that way. Otherwise it would have just
beats.
It would have just been like this. You imagine how long it would take to make one of these games if like every decision put you on like a wildly different path, and the whole thing would just spiral out of control in a heartbeat.
Like the decision tree would just be ridiculous. Yeah.
But it's cool that like they give you enough agency over the game that like,
right.
Major shit is affected by the choices that you make. It's like, yeah, okay, like the overarching theme and story is going to end up being the same. I would even argue the first Life is Strange, like even though the ending is different depending on that last decision that you make, it's like the ending almost doesn't matter at that point. You know what I mean? Like it's like the whole story has concluded by that time with the killer and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, the end of the game, they give you like the ability to kind of wrap it up on your own terms, but the story has already been told, essentially.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, I agree.
That said, I mean, I've heard some people, I'm curious to kind of move forward with this because I've heard people say that The Life is Strange 2 is better than the first one. It's definitely approaching it's definitely dealing with arguably heavier themes than the first game did.
Right.
With, the racism and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if that alone makes it better or if it's just that, the actual game is better. But I will tell you one thing. I had to get used to the fucking wonk again. Like how wonky the game looks and it kind of is. And I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. I'm sure if they were to try to make this game and like make it look photorealistic and all this stuff and make the animation super good, like the game would just take forever to make because of all the decisions you have to make and all that stuff. But that said, like there's something so comforting about the quiet moments in that game. The music is so
really
good.
Weird.
Like even just like the music, even just like the music when you're sitting on a bench drawing or like just this instrumental, like guitar type stuff, like it all is very soothing.
It's like relaxing.
And I got a kick out of like when the game started, it opens up with Phoenix.
Yeah.
When it's like introducing the game, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Yeah. I've only played the first episode, so I'm sure there's a lot more.
I'm in the middle of episode 4. I'm in the middle of 4 right now. So it's good, man. And it gets cool. I mean, it's really weird for these kind of games because they feel so grounded at times. They feel so just like regular life. And then something weird happens or something, it just spirals out of control. It seems like the end of every episode just spirals in a terrible direction. So I don't know. It's good. But yeah, I haven't been playing anything else outside of that. I've been doing a lot of yard work and stuff and doing these YouTube videos and commenting. But just want to remind the listeners that Days of Play is starting June 3rd. It's going to run till June 17th here in the United States. We don't know for certain which games are going to be discounted during the Days of Play, but you can refer to the sales currently happening in the UK and Europe at this time because they have their Days of Play early. So that might be a little bit of a clue as to what you're going to be getting at discounts and stuff. I don't know if you saw, but Sony now is telling developers that as of July moving forward, all new PlayStation 4 games must be compatible with the PS5.
I did see that.
Yeah, it's not really a surprise. It makes sense to me. What do you think?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, it's kind of like they kind of have to basically protect themselves from kind of, I don't know, maybe it's not the right way to say it, but like kind of kickback from them saying like, oh, well, I can't play this new game on my PS5. It should be backwards compatible, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
And it's like, no, just fucking tell the developers they have to do it. It's kind of like when they told developers you have to have trophies in your games. Like,
and it's in the developer's best interest too, because if they're creating games that aren't playable on the PS5, I mean, that's the direction that Sony's going. That's the direction that the gaming industry is going, to the next gen console. So why, like, if you're in the middle of making a game now, why would you not make it compatible for the PS5? You're just going to limit who's going to be able to purchase that in the future. So yeah, it just makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, it's I think it's a good move, really.
There really wasn't a whole lot of news, man, but we did get announced the Plus games for June, and it's going to be Call of Duty World War II and Battlefront 2.
I'm actually kind of excited for both of these because I wanted to play Call of Duty World War II, but I never did just because I didn't want to. I don't really want to spend money on Call of Duty games because, you know, it's like you spend $60 for a multiplayer game that has a little bit of a campaign in it. And it's like, I don't really care to do that. You know, and Battlefront 2 is one of those things where it's like, I've always wanted to play the single player campaign of that game, even though I heard it's not great, but I've always wanted to play it. And
it's still probably decent, especially if it's free.
And, but I just never been able to get myself to kind of throw money at it. And now, you know, I have the ability to do that.
Yeah, good, man. Yeah, I played Call of Duty World War II when it released, but I rented it for one day and just plowed through it. I think I spent like 6 hours in that game because I just didn't want to pay for an extra day.
I'm sure.
It's a good game, dude. It's good. It was worth the $4 that I spent to rent it or whatever it cost. You know, I got what I wanted out of it. And it's funny because I downloaded it and I guess it's not very memorable because I had downloaded the game and I had completely forgot that I'd already played it. So I went in to play it and it was like, would you like to resume your progress? And it was on like the final mission. And I was like, oh shit, I've already done this. I was like, God, should have downloaded Battlefront 2 for the single player campaign. Because I'm curious about that too, especially after watching The Mandalorian. I was kind of into that. Well, we can get into the main topic, man. There's not really a whole lot I'd like to talk about outside of just kind of where things are going. Jake, it seems your predictions were pretty spot on regarding Sony and them making an announcement soon about the PS5. You had mentioned that you thought that they would maybe be doing individual announcements. I think on the podcast 140, you indicated that, you know, they're going to say, okay, first announcement is going to be, okay, here are the games. Second announcement is going to be, here's our system. Third announcement. So you're 100% right. Like they've come out and the first announcement appears to be entirely game related. Sony's going to be streaming their Future of Gaming event, showcase PS5 games on June 4th. Push Square indicated over an hour PS5 games are going to be shown. Jim Ryan, the chief executive officer, CEO, if you guys didn't know what that stood for, of PlayStation, said that you'd be able to cut the adrenaline testosterone with a knife. We've got to find a way to do that and give the community a little bit of a jolt. When you watch the show next week, I think you'll see that we've been able to do that. And the interesting thing about this is I had posted a reaction video to this 16-second clip that Sony had put out on their YouTube channel early whatever morning it came out. And I was just kind of speculating on my reaction video, just saying, hey, you know, who knows? We kind of called that they were going to do something soon. Let's hope it's not like a 15-minute state of play and it's stupid and stuff. And I said all that stuff I had written in and been like, oh, you're completely wrong about this. How could you be so wrong? They said it was going to be like an hour of gaming or not when I watched the video. So no one knew what it was. It was just kind of like a teaser and there was no information about it. The video just dropped on the YouTube channel. So yeah, I just think it's interesting. So you were right about this, though, Jake, on episode 140 about them releasing maybe individual press releases and things. So an hour of gaming, man, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if it's like literally just games like they're talking about, or if they're gonna, you know, tease maybe some information about
the system
itself. But and they may through the games tease some, you know, features that the system has or highlight some of the technical feats that they've accomplished.
Yeah.
But I guess part of me is also wondering, like, maybe at the end of the video, they'll like kind of tease when the next video is coming or so, you know what I mean? Like
more info on blah, 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 blah. Right. To leave everyone thirsty.
Yeah. They may say like more in August or more in July, or, you know, maybe every few weeks they're going to do this, or I don't know. But if it's going to be an hour-long video of games, that's pretty cool. But if you think about it, you know, they could technically if they had 3 big games on the console that they wanted to do like 20-minute highlights of, that's an hour. So you could technically get through it and only see like 3 games. I have a feeling they're not going to do that. They're probably going to,
I don't think it's going to be like a 15-minute walkthrough the first like 15 minutes of the New Horizon or anything like that. I think it's going to be a sizzle reel just full of PlayStation stuff that they're just going to put online, and you're going to be able to watch it live. And I think that's essentially, and there's going to be some surprises. There's going to be some things that we already know about probably. There's going to be probably some games that are going to be shown that are now compatible with PlayStation 5, probably games like Uncharted 4, Red Dead Redemption 2, probably things that, you know, even the first Spider-Man, because they've already talked about how the loading screens on the new Spider-Man with the new SSD takes 0 time at all to do. So if they're already looking at that game and talking about the loading time, then I would imagine they're going to show some of that off as gameplay, but also to wow people about the speed of the system. The other thing is, I think that what's interesting is I don't know, did you watch that little 16-second trailer of theirs? Did you watch that at all?
No, I didn't.
Okay. If you get a second while you're sitting at the computer, pull it up, because the one thing that I noticed, and I know that like it's all fancy pants, everything's dark. They wanted the blue of the light. What's it called? The light bar to show through the top. So it looks really, really neat and mysterious and cool on the controller. But that controller does not look like a white controller like we already saw. Like, I don't know how you would get a white controller to look that dark unless there's like some video editing going on. It almost looks like a black controller to me.
I did see, even though I didn't watch the thing, I did see some clips that made it look like they were showing a all black controller.
Doesn't it look like a black controller to you? Because it does to me.
Yeah. I mean, I just watched that little video.
I mean, because you can see where the light.
It's definitely a black controller.
There's no doubt about it.
So it could be that the controller that they revealed is like an option, or who knows? Maybe they'll release the console in 2 colorways, which would be kind of cool.
That would be cool. A black one and a white one.
Yeah,
that would be kind of cool.
I don't know.
That's a good.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll do that because of everybody's talking about whether or not they're going to be able to get enough consoles for launch and all that kind of crap. With the coronavirus stuff, but it would be kind of interesting if they came out with 2 colorways. But more than likely, it's probably just going to be like, here's your console, here's your black controller, here's your black console, black controller, and then we have white controllers available to purchase, if you want to buy an extra controller.
Sure. Well, the other thing is too, I mean, like look at all the DualShock 4s that are available now, all the different colors. And I mentioned this on my video is like, you can get pretty much any color under the sun on a DualShock 4 now. I mean, they've made so many, they can get camouflage ones, you can get retro looking ones, you can get green ones, you can get cherry colored ones, you can get teal and berry colored ones, you can get blue ones, you can get black ones, you can get white ones, you can get, it just goes on forever. So, I mean, color is kind of irrelevant, but it is interesting though that the color of the controller on this seemingly appears to be a black controller after they have only shown a white one to us. So I just wanted to make note of that. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty weird. And maybe they'll talk more about how, because it's a gameplay kind of, or it's a game announcement or whatever, maybe they'll talk more about how they're using the DualSense kind of in these games. But to me, it seems like they can talk about, it seems like one of those things kind of like VR where it's like they can talk about it all they want, but until you're actually playing it and you're feeling it in your hands while you're playing it, I don't think they're really going to get, the point across. It's
going to be hard to convey that without actually, getting hands on the controller. So now that we know we're getting an hour of video games.
Wait, do we know that it's an hour long? I know that you said
that's what Push Square is saying. Push Square said that Sony will be streaming their Future of Gaming event to showcase PS5 games on June 4th. Push Square indicates over an hour of PS5 games will be shown. That's my notes from their site. Yeah, so I don't know exactly what they came out and said, but if we're getting that much video game footage or material, or maybe it's just going to be, maybe the whole thing is going to be like an hour and like 5 minutes and they're going to be talking about games and we're not getting a full hour of video games. But what I wanted to talk about on today's show, and I think you agreed, was we should probably do a little speculation on what games we expect to see during this event. Like what do we think Sony's going to come out of the gates with? I mean, clearly there's going to be some new games. So, I mean, we can go right down the list and talk about different ideas. One of the things that I noticed that Sony's gotten into the habit of doing is they will release PlayStation Plus games, or like what they do is they'll, on certain sales, you'll see like games, Watch Dogs, you'll see Shadow of War, you'll see other games. And as far as Sony IPs, I'm not entirely sure. It's very seldom do you see games like Horizon and stuff on those sales. It's usually third-party games, but usually you see a lot of games like that go on sale. And then it's like a month later you hear about, oh, so-and-so's working on this game now. And it's like the sequel to something that was just on sale in the store. Or there's new DLC coming for this game, right? So it's usually not a sure indicator that there's something new coming for games that are on sale, but typically when a game goes on sale and there's promise of there being a second or third or a sequel or whatever to it, that it is definitely in the works. The one thing that I saw was on the Sony official PlayStation blog. They did a breakdown on what it takes to make, and it's recent, what it took to make the story for Blood and Truth, which was the IP VR game that came out on PlayStation VR. Now, I don't know if you remember, but they actually went and built a motion cap studio specifically for VR to make this game. And I can't imagine they're letting it go to waste. And it wouldn't surprise me if maybe during this we get a glimpse of Blood and Truth 2. Because they did set that up kind of for a sequel. And I can't imagine they're going to allow that studio just to set up and fund this huge VR motion capture studio and only release one game using it. So maybe it's not Blood and Truth 2, maybe, but I think Sony's going to want to, if they're going to do a VR 2, if they're still planning on supporting virtual reality, they're going to, at some point in this presentation, show something VR related, and I bet you it's related to Blood and Truth. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, VR makes sense. They can't, I mean, they've talked about how the new console will support it, and they might not, go into huge detail about tons and tons of games that are coming on VR, but it would make sense for them to come out and say, look, we're continuing to support this platform. Here's what our major VR studio is working on, if it's Blood and Truth 2 or some other offshoot. Maybe
the new game. Resident Evil.
It's like that wouldn't be a Sony made thing. That's,
right.
But the new Resident Evil might be showcased. I didn't even think of that. If you're talking about VR, they could be making something else of a AAA quality, it might not be Blood and Truth. It might be like something that's not a shooter. Maybe, maybe it's another Astrobot or, something like that.
Astrobot 2 would be awesome.
Or even something a little bit more adventure-y, like that game that just came out. I don't know if it just came out, that game, The Persistence, where you're like in space. I don't know if you looked into that at all. It looked kind of spooky. But I could see them definitely doing something with VR. I don't think they're going to do a lot with it.
No, me either.
But because I think they want to showcase the PS5 more than they care about PSVR. I think they probably might just want to reassure the people that own PSVR that it will work on PS5. But that's probably it. Yeah,
I'm starting soft by bringing that up because I think it's a stab in the dark, that thing. But I think it wouldn't hurt them to bring up that, oh, by the way, we're working on this game. Here's a splash screen, or here's maybe like a quick 10-second trailer of something VR related, just so that as a consumer that we have not given up on VR as well. I think that would be smart. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be much VR content in this at all. But I do think that we're going to see something VR related.
Yeah. I was thinking it probably would be an easy bet to say that they're going to at least briefly talk about their two major titles coming out this summer, The Last of Us and The Ghost of Tsushima.
On a PS5.
Yeah, talk about how they're forward compatible and all that. Basically just reiterating the fact that those games are coming out because they are. I mean, like they don't even really need to push The Last of Us because, it kind of, the name kind of promotes itself. But I could see them coming out and saying that, like, don't forget about The Last of Us, or don't forget about Ghost of Tsushima. Or they could come out and say, like, Ghost of Tsushima is going to be the first game that's going to be part of this initiative that requires you to have forwards compatibility or backwards compatibility with all of your games moving forward.
Right.
So I could see them maybe talking about something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So speaking of The Last of Us, we know that Naughty Dog made that. Now, there have been rumors that there's a new studio possibly working on a new Uncharted game. Do you think it's possible we get a glimpse of that?
I don't know if they would. There's been a lot of work done between Sony and Bluepoint over the past few years. Bluepoint did the Nathan Drake collection, did an awesome job with it. And there's been all these rumors, I guess. I don't even think they're necessarily even rumors that they've been working on something huge. And it could very well be the next Uncharted game. Now, I don't know, because they have experience with the franchise with the Nathan Drake collection. Now, I don't know if Sony would be willing to hand that massive baton over to a studio they don't own. But it could be, one of those things where it's like, Sony still owns the IP. Bluepoint gets a whack at it. And if they deliver, then, maybe Sony buys them. I don't know. But yeah, I could see, I don't know what to speculate Bluepoint's game being, but, if I had to swing in the dark, the next Uncharted game isn't out of the question. Right.
Well, when I was over at Push Square looking up this information about this June 4th event, today they had something on there, and they said that rumors are circulating that they're doing an entire remake of Demon's Souls.
Oh, that would be awesome. I'm really not like super into those types of games,
Yeah.
But the first Demon's Souls, there's only one Demon's Souls, but like that was the game that started everything.
Right. And it wouldn't be a remaster, it'd be an entire remake of the game.
And I would love for them to, I know it kind of like flies in the face of what these games are supposed to be, but I would love for them to kind of like, if they do a complete remake of Demon's Souls, for them to come back and say, okay, we're going to take a lot of shit for this, but we're going to put like an easy mode in it. Or not even necessarily an easy mode, but
like maybe an adventure mode.
Maybe like an arcade mode or something like that.
Right.
Where it's a little bit more accessible. And then you can kind of ratchet up the difficulty, like once you get used to the game, or even like a dynamic difficulty. Like a lot of games are doing dynamic difficulty now, where like if you're really struggling, it kind of dials back the difficulty so you can kind of push through. That would be kind of cool.
You can enable a dynamic difficulty or turn it off. Yeah. The thing about these games, and I think you made the point last show, or maybe it was on 139, I don't remember, but you said something about how these games cater to a very niche group of gamers. And the thing of it is taking a studio like Bluepoint, who is very, very talented at what they do. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of money in the Souls games. In Demon's Souls, a remake would sell like hotcakes, I think. But at the same time, you are limiting the audience that will get to experience Bluepoint's talent, I think.
Yeah. I get you. I guess you're right. But as far as I know, like they're an unproven studio as far as a brand new game, like a brand new game, stem to stern. Like I think they're kind of unproven. They're the best port house on the planet, the best remaster house on the planet, probably, that specializes in that type of thing. They're still kind of unproven in the idea of like making everything themselves from start to finish. Now, if they redid Demon's Souls, that kind of lets them dip their toe in the water, where it's like Demon's Souls is a big enough game that it's going to sell to that market. Especially I don't know if it will, I assume it will remain a PS5 exclusive. That's the one Souls game you can't get on any other platform.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
They could come out and do that, and it would kind of convince some of these Soulsborne people to just kind of stay on the PS5 as opposed to maybe switching
jumping ship.
Because they're just these people just are fucking bonkers about these games.
Oh yeah, you're not like half-assed into those games. Like you're either 100% into it or it's just not your thing.
Right. Because you can't spend enough time with a game like that and get your ass kicked over and over and over again to learn it without being in love with it. So now I will say that I played quite a bit of Demon's Souls and I did really enjoy it. It just got to a point where it's like, I can't, I get to a point nowadays when I'm playing games where it's like, I just can't beat my head against the wall any longer.
Right. Like you play games to like de-stress, not to get stressed out.
Yeah. Like you get to it's just one of those, it's just so, it's just frustrating because it's one of those games where you get started and you kind of learn the mechanics, and then you get to your first brick wall and you smash your head against that brick wall until it breaks down. And then you go to the next brick wall and then you smash your head against that one until it breaks down. And it's like, I use that analogy because it's painful for me to do that.
Right.
I do enjoy it, and there is a satisfaction you get from overcoming those hurdles.
Yeah.
But the satisfaction doesn't outweigh for me anyway, it doesn't outweigh all of the time lost and all of the frustration it took for me to get through it.
Yeah, the gains don't justify the loss.
Right. And it would be one thing, like I said, if they made an arcade mode or something like that, or even a slightly less difficult, like a slightly lower difficulty, where it's like, yeah, it's still hard. It still might take you a few times to beat every boss. But like,
what if they just gave you like you said in Doom, in the new Doom, like you would collect lives and you could use those? Like, what if they implemented a thing where in one of the modes there are just extra lives that you can pick up, so that when you die, you don't have to go back to the last checkpoint. Like, you just respawn right there and continue the battle. That'd be actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
A game like that. That'd be a cool mechanic.
It would be. I mean, it's such a risk reward kind of game. That's like in the DNA of it. So I have to wonder how much it would ruin the game to put that type of mechanic into it.
I think it would ruin the game less than making the boss easier. I think if you had the option to choose, that extra lives would be findable or obtainable in your playthrough, and it's a choice that you indicate from the beginning of the game. Maybe you don't unlock the trophy for beating it without that. Like you're an OG Souls player and you want to beat it the way that it's meant to be played, then you get a trophy for that. Yeah, that's something you've earned. But if you just want to play the game like you said, then let there be like little collectibles that give you a little bit of a boon, like when you're fighting big hard guys. Because when I played Neo, dude, that first boss, the one in the ship, if you guys know what I'm talking about, I couldn't get past him. Like, I tried so many fucking times. I even went to YouTube and I looked at YouTube on how people were beating him, and my guy was leveled up. Don't say he wasn't. I actually had better stats than the guy on YouTube who beat him. So it really is one of those things where it's just like, I just didn't want to do the grind, man. Like, it just turned me off completely. But if I had a couple lives, I probably could have beaten that guy and moved on and enjoyed the story and the cutscenes and all the work that the developer put into the game. Now, like you said, you're going to have your 100%, loyalists that are just going to say, well, then the game's not for you. If you're not good enough, then don't fucking play our game. And I get that. I get that if that's what you're about. But at the same time, like, it's such a limiting view to have on a game that you love so much. Now, you may love it because of the gameplay, or you may love it because it's so difficult. But people like myself enjoy a good story. And it seemed like there was a story in there. It was interesting. Like, the aesthetic. I like the aesthetic. I like the graphics. I like the gameplay. I just wasn't good enough to get past the boss. So I just had to set it aside, and I don't have the time to waste toward it. So I totally see what you're saying, man. I get it.
Yeah, it's it would be cool to see. I mean, I don't know that I'd pay $60 for it, but I would definitely, like, if I had the opportunity, if they had a demo for it or something like that, I would play it because just to see, how they remade the game.
Yeah. So,
because I did play it on PS3 at least for a while. So.
All right. So you're thinking Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima possibly being shown at this. We're speculating Demon Soul remake, maybe, possibly a new Uncharted game showing.
Or whatever's coming out of Blue Point, I mean, that's probably, a better way to say it.
What else do you think?
So I actually have a pretty long list here. Things
I do too. Yeah.
Could be on there.
Let's work through it.
But if you want to talk about some kind of things that wouldn't surprise me, the new Call of Duty game wouldn't surprise me if it was in there. I don't know, because it wasn't in the Xbox showcase, was it?
I don't recall.
I know that was. And I know that Call of Duty has been sort of more towards the PlayStation side of things through the last generation, or the most recent generation. So it's one of those things where, like, it wouldn't surprise me to see, like, the new Call of Duty
running on the PS5. Sure.
But the other thing I was thinking of, in kind of that same vein, certainly that same publisher, I guess it's not the publisher anymore, but Destiny. Like, okay. I could see either some major, basically like a thing on Destiny where it's like, yeah, we're definitely coming to PS5, right?
Like, and a Destiny 3?
No, I just mean, like, they'll say, like, okay, Destiny 2 is going to be playable on PS5, and here's the brand new content that we're making specifically to for this next gen launch or something like that. Maybe they're going to do a major update that will involve PS5 or whatever. But I don't know whether or not that's true. It just seems something to me like, because Destiny has been pretty PlayStation centric too. Now, granted, that was sort of maybe when they were dealing with Activision, but who also owns Call of Duty. Yeah, I don't know. I could see them doing something with Destiny.
Yeah, that's a good prediction. I think we could possibly see, and you guys, we both speculated about this game for a while, but I mean, going back again to what Jim Ryan was saying, he said like the goal is to blow people away with this video or this announcement thing that they're doing. So, and if they're saying it's all about games, then I don't know. I'm hedging my bets that there's going to be a lot of new material shown. I just think that there's going to be some new teasers, some new stuff. And I don't think that we've seen the end of Resistance. And I think we might see something for Resistance. And I think my mind will be absolutely blown if we do. I'll be so stoked if that's the case.
Yeah, I could see a Resistance thing. And I mean, if someone was like, what Resistance do you think, what form do you think Resistance is going to take? I would probably put money on like a remastered collection of the original 3. Okay. It would be totally awesome if they were to come out and say like, oh, it's a brand new Resistance game. Because it's like we haven't been able to play. The Resistance games are Sony exclusive first party games that we haven't been able to play since the PS3 era. So it's been. Are they
available on PS Now?
I actually don't know that. I don't think so.
Give me the next one. Yeah, I like Resistance. I think it's a good candidate. I don't know what else do you think might show up here on June 4th, Jake?
Based on and this would be a big splash, not necessarily for us, but for a lot of people. Based on the Unreal Engine 5 was being shown on PS5 hardware. Mm-hmm. So it indicates that unless they just totally did that without Sony's consent, that there's
they were in bed together
there. And if that is the case, then it would be kind of crazy if they were to show like Fortnite 2 on that, in that kind of reveal thing. I mean, that would be huge for Sony. I mean, I couldn't give two shits about it, but it would be huge for them as a business to show. I mean, that would definitely be a big splash kind of game to show.
Yeah, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I looked that up about Resistance. Resistance 3 is the only Resistance game available that you can play on the PS4, but you have to do it through PlayStation Now. So Fall of Man and Resistance 2 have not been released on PlayStation Now. It's interesting. So you can only play the third one.
Yeah, and you have to do it through a streaming service.
Yeah, so Fortnite 2 for Sony. All right, here, let me throw this one at you. Let me throw this bad boy at you. What do you think about a new Ratchet and Clank game? Because every new PlayStation seems to come out with a game like Knack or Crash Bandicoot or something that's kind of fun for kids and everybody. So have you thought about a new Ratchet and Clank game?
I have put a little bit of thought into it, and I think that would be a pretty, I'm not going to say it's a sure thing, but I would say that's a pretty safe prediction. It's because when I say the first Ratchet and Clank, I mean the remake from
so good
2016 was fucking amazing.
It was so good.
And it sold really well as far as I know, and it came out at like a really great price point at like $30 or $40.
Yeah,
and if they were to launch the PS5 with a fucking Ratchet game, that would be awesome. That would be, honestly,
I'd be excited about that.
If somebody was like, here's the PS5 is launching and you can play. We've got a brand new Ratchet game and we've got like a new Killzone game. I'd probably play Ratchet first.
Yeah, I would too over Killzone for sure.
That first Ratchet remake game was just it was so fun. I mean, it was so fun to play. It was just,
and it was so good. It was gorgeous. The game was gorgeous. Like, I don't know if you remember how good it looked.
Yeah, there's just something about playing those types of mascot platformers like that they just like, I don't know if cathartic is the right word. It's I don't think it is, but it's like, it's to me, especially during these times when you've got all the coronavirus stuff and you've got especially
the world is like on fire right now.
Dude, when you got all that shit going on in Minneapolis and all that crap right now, like it's like I long to be able to pick up a game that I can just sit down and it just puts a smile on my face. You know what I mean? And
that's why I had trouble playing Life is Strange 2, man, because it was too serious for me.
Yeah.
But it's heavy.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I know what you're saying. Ratchet and Clank, dude.
It's one of those games you can just sit down and it just makes you happy. Now, there are parts that are frustrating, but as a whole, the package, it just makes you happy to play. I mean,
the aesthetic, the music, the talking critters. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny you say that about Life is Strange, though. Last night, I asked Sarah if she wanted to start back in on it because we started it on Friday.
Yeah.
And I asked if she wanted to start in on it, and she was like, that game makes me really twitchy. And,
yeah, it's sad, dude. It's weird.
I was like, so you don't want to play it? She's like, no, I want to do it. I want to play the game.
Experience it and see how it ends.
It's just, it kind of screws with your brain a little bit.
It does. It really messes with you. That's why I was telling you, man. Like, I just wasn't in the mood to play it. Like, I liked it. And I was talking to my brother about that game too. Not to talk too much about Life is Strange, but it's one of those heavy kind of games. And I imagine The Last of Us 2 is going to be the same way. But I'm actually really looking forward to that game because I know Naughty Dog can craft a good story. So, all right. So, if not Ratchet and Clank, now we know Sucker Punch is doing Ghost of Tsushima. Is it possible that they pass the baton of Sly Cooper to another studio? Are we going to maybe get a new Sly game?
I mean, they did that Sly 4. I think Sumo or somebody did that.
Tsunami or something?
Monkey something. Sly Cooper 4 was done by
Sanzaru.
But the Sanzaru mascot is like a monkey.
Yeah. That was a great game.
I didn't play Sly 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I played 1 through 3.
Because you were trying to platinum it all.
Yeah, and actually, to be honest, I don't think I ever finished 3, but I didn't ever play. I played the demo for 4, but I didn't actually play the game. I never bought the game. Well, that was a late PS3 game.
Yeah, the reason I bring this up is because they were reportedly working on a Sly movie with their PlayStation Studios, like their own movie brand, and it was all animated. It looked like a Pixar movie, and it looked really, really awesome and looked good. It wasn't like Sonic when that came out, where Sonic looked weird. Like the Sly thing looked awesome, and then the movie just disappeared. There was a trailer for it and everything, but it just disappeared. They didn't even say it was like a proof of concept or anything. They said like, we are making this movie. And the expected release date was like, I don't know what it was, like 2019 or something. It just kind of fell off the face of the earth. So I wonder if they're going to try to scoop that old chestnut out of the ground and see if they can grow it somewhere else. I don't know. What else do you have on your list, man?
So I was thinking about trying to get some of these more easy ones kind of out of the way, because I have some that are just like pie in the sky kind of, but is like technically possible kind of things. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me to see something like Gran Turismo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll see something like that.
Because how long has it been since we've seen... I mean, GT Sport was a long time ago. So, I mean, I don't know. I have to imagine that they've been working on a new game.
Well, the weird thing is that Sony did all kinds of weird stuff with their games. Like, they did The Crew. Like, well, I mean, there's a lot of racing games that kind of came out that, like, I don't know. I don't feel that were very good. We had The Crew. We had Drive Club and Drive Club VR. But Gran Turismo has been strangely absent for a long time. So you're probably right.
Now, granted, Gran Turismo Sport I just looked it up, came out in 2017. So that wasn't that long ago. But there seems to be like, with the exception of 4 to 5, there seems to be like a 3 to 4 year gap between games. So, they could come out and say like, oh, Gran Turismo is coming, but maybe it doesn't come until like fall of 2021.
And it's like a cinematic trailer or something. But I don't know. Microsoft got a bunch of shit for doing all cinematic things. So if Sony's smart, they're going to show us actual gameplay. I don't know.
Yeah, they better.
If they're smart about it. Unless it's like a brand new game announcement, then I think you could accept like a standard video game trailer. You know what I mean? Like, I would take that and be like, okay, this is cool. They're working on this for the PS5. But I do want to see more gameplay than we got with the Microsoft Series X.
Yeah, I know that they just need to they need to learn from what happened with that and make sure that they're,
prepared.
I don't even understand how Microsoft dropped that ball. That seems like such a fucking...
Well, they set the wrong expectation. They said it was going to be gameplay, and then it turned out that it wasn't gameplay much at all. You know what I mean? And when you tell gamers that there's going to be a lot of gameplay on the next gen console, that's what gamers want to see. Like instantly, they don't care about anything else. They just want to see something running on that new system. So I think Microsoft kind of set themselves up for failure when they
and honestly, if you're going to show just cinematic trailers, I mean, that's the type of shit you just fucking throw up on your YouTube page. Like, why are you having this huge, I don't know, blowout in quotes conference video stream thing about it if it's just a bunch of cinematic trailers? And I don't know, that's a digression I guess we don't need to get into, but,
sure. So Gran Turismo?
I think Gran Turismo would be a good bet for this. And even if it's not, even if it's not like you're saying this blowout gameplay thing, even if they're like, hey, the next Gran Turismo is coming. It's called this, you know what I mean? It's got these things that I'm not a big, I don't know anything about Gran Turismo, but like, they could say like, it's got these things that Gran Turismo fans are looking for and all that kind of stuff.
All right. Well, let me go out on a limb, which I'm not at all. So I say that loosely. We are going to see a sequel to either God of War, Spider-Man, or Horizon. Guaranteed. They're going to end this presentation with something about a God of War 2, Spider-Man 2, or Horizon 2. I'm just throwing that out there. That's my prediction.
I would also maybe even throw in Days Gone.
Oh, a Days Gone too. I still want to play that game.
But I would say that what were the games that you listed? God of War,
Spider-Man.
God of War, Spider-Man, Horizon, maybe Days Gone.
Days Gone. Yeah.
I would say
Uncharted?
The most likely is probably Horizon, but I don't, because God of War, Horizon is the oldest of those games.
Right.
So,
but they're already testing Spider-Man out on the PS5. Is that because
could see, I mean, Spider-Man is one of those games where it's like, dude, you've got the fucking groundwork. All you got to do is make a new story and put new bad guys in the city. You know what I mean? So
up the textures a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they could make a new Spider-Man game so fast. I don't know that for sure, but I feel like they could make a new Spider-Man game.
They're not going to reinvent the game. Right. Yeah.
They got all the mechanics in the city and all that kind of stuff, but I still think that probably Horizon is the most likely, and I would fucking love it if they had a Horizon. They announced a Horizon sequel. I mean, it would be awesome if they announced a God of War sequel, but I don't know if that I'm personally ready for one. So not that I would be sad that if they came out with it. It's just God of War was one of those games that it was like, it's kind of like playing a Last of Us or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like that game was just heavy from start to finish. It was so
good though. The gameplay was so good.
Yeah.
I thought about going back into it.
Yeah. And like I never even like I thought like, oh well maybe I'll go back and do all the Valkyries and stuff like that. It's like I'm not doing that. I just when I got done with that game, I was like, I loved this. I really enjoyed it. My time with it. The story was good and everything.
A lot of game though.
I'm done. I haven't gone back to it. And I could see myself playing it again at some point.
Yeah. New Game Plus.
Yeah. Or something, right? The combat is one of those things you kind of got to get used to and you got to learn it again. But Horizon's the same way, like Horizon, you have to learn how to play that game because the combat
I finally played the Frozen Wilds. Yeah. I beat that.
It's good.
It is good.
And when I jumped back into the Frozen Wilds right when it came out, and it took me probably, I don't know,
an hour,
2 or 3 hours to get comfortable with it again.
Yeah.
And that was with, my character was fully fucking kitted from the first.
The learning curve's tough in those games, dude.
But the thing about Horizon though, and I don't know if they'll do something like that. I hope they do something like this in the next one. I don't know if they will, is if you take a little bit of time to find that one set of armor, it makes the game so much easier.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big of a stretch of the imagination to say we're going to see a Horizon 2, because if I'm being honest, and I think I said this last episode, that Unreal Engine 5 announcement, gameplay stuff, what we were looking at looked very much in the aesthetic of Horizon 2, like a Horizon game. I can't say Horizon 2, but with the weird tribal stuff on the rock face, all the rocks, the female main character jumping around, kind of like you're in Uncharted, scaling cliffs. You know, there wasn't much of that dinosaur futuristic stuff there, but I mean, maybe it's just a coincidence, but I seem to think that, I don't know, my brain's telling me that we're probably going to see something Horizon 2 related.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense for sure.
All right.
I could definitely see that happening.
What else do you got, man?
If what you're saying, I have Bloodborne 2 down on here, but I think that if what you're saying is true about Demon Souls being remade, they probably won't have a Bloodborne 2 there.
Yeah, but they wouldn't do two games like that in the same.
I feel like they will do it eventually, but whether or not it's at this showcase, I have no idea. So I'm not going to use that one.
Okay.
I thought it might be interesting if they were to come out. It wouldn't surprise me if they were to come out maybe and talk somewhat about Media Molecule and Dreams and what's going on with that, and if there is like a game being made, or like them coming out and announcing some new initiative where it's like you can make your own games in Dreams and sell them on the PSN, or you know what I mean? Like,
oh wow,
I could see them coming out and maybe announcing some initiative like that to try and squeeze some life out of Dreams.
Yeah.
And maybe even Media Molecule comes out and says like, hey, look, we've made Little Big Planet 4 in Dreams or something. You know what I mean? So like that would be kind of, or just made Little Big Planet 4 period. I mean, maybe they come out and say, now that Dreams is out, we've been working on it for, 87 years. We can work on making a real game again.
Or what happens is Blue Point comes out and they say, we made Demon Souls remake in Dreams.
I have a hard time believing that they would do that, but that would be kind of funny.
That'd be hilarious.
But yeah, I could see them definitely doing something with
that's the most bogus prediction.
Dreams, or even just Media Molecule, what the hell they're up to.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I think that we might. Now this is a fun one. They're going to come out and secretly show that Kojima and
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, del Toro. Yeah. They're actually working on the new Silent Hill game.
They'd have to wrestle that away from Konami, but I guess it is possible. Yeah.
Or maybe it's a game in the spirit of Silent Hill. Yeah,
it could be. Yeah, I mean that could be something that they do. I mean, I still have the PT trailer on my PS4, and or the PT demo, and I've never played it, to be honest with you.
Oh man, it's so scary. I played it and got past it. Well, I didn't uncover all the hidden stuff, but I did get to the end of the trailer.
I played a little bit of it. Like I played like the first part where you're like walking down that hallway or whatever. Mm-hmm. But like that's the only part I played. I don't like those types of games. I want to like them so bad, but sometimes I just don't have the stomach for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's tough. Like I love that they exist, and like I want to play that. It's kind of like doing those types of games in VR, like those VR horror games. Like I want to love this, but at the same time, it's like I just don't have the stomach for it.
Yep.
Especially when it's in your face like that. But it would be kind of cool for them to, announce some new Kojima initiative, whether it's Silent Hill or Silent Hill-like game, or if it's another, what was that? Death Stranding, which my brother actually let me borrow Death Stranding. So I would like to play that.
Oh, that's cool.
And I will play it here eventually. Probably not until after The Last of Us, I assume, because I think that Death Stranding is a relatively sizable game. Maybe not even until after Ghost of Tsushima. I guess we'll see. Yeah, I think that would be I don't think it's going to happen, but it could be. Because they did like with The Last Generation, they did all those fucking shows where Kojima would just come out on stage like a rock star at all these PlayStation conferences, and like
everyone just went wow.
And it would be kind of awesome if they did that again, but I just don't know what they would be working on, unless it's something like you're talking about, or maybe some kind of expansion on Death Stranding or something.
Something weird. Yeah. I've only got two others left that I was going to bring up. And how many more? Do you have quite a few more on your list?
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Jeez. All right. Well, throw them on me.
Okay. So the one I'm just going to glaze over because we already talked about Horizon 2, but I was also thinking it might be possible that they announce a new Killzone game, because that's the same studio. That's why
Guerrilla.
Guerrilla did Horizon and Killzone. So I would say that it's probably one of those things where I could be completely wrong, but I feel like you're either going to see Horizon 2 or a new Killzone game, but probably not both.
Right.
And whether or not you see a new Killzone game is going to be dependent on whether you see a Resistance game, unless the Resistance, it's one of those things where it's like, you think about it and it's like, oh, well, they could do Resistance and Killzone if Resistance is just a remastered trilogy. It's not an actual new game, because then they would be competing with each other. So Sony's been out of the first person shooter space for so long.
They need to do something with it.
They got to do something, right? So like, I could see them coming out with a Killzone or a Resistance kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
I'd prefer Resistance personally.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Killzone Shadowfall was great, and I thought it was a pretty good game, but I never beat it. That battle right before the end of the game was so fucking hard that I was just like, and you couldn't change the difficulty.
Yeah, it was very.
So I was like, no, I'm done. I was like, I'll just look up on YouTube how this game ends story wise, because I hate when they put difficulty spikes like that in games. That are just insane. I don't think they're gonna do a price and release date of the console on this.
I don't either.
I had them in my notes, but I don't think that's gonna be announced. 2 games that are plausible and 2 games that are like pie in the sky stuff.
Sure.
The 2 games that I think are plausible is I think it's possible for them to come out and announce the single player DLC content for Doom Eternal. They could come out and show, because I think it's been already pretty much confirmed that they're doing single player DLC for Doom Eternal.
Okay.
And I could see them kind of announcing that in this showcase. Because as far as I know, there's no plans for Bethesda to do anything. So, it would make sense that maybe they would partner with somebody like Sony, especially since Sony has like Doom is on their greatest hits collection and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So Doom DLC and you haven't played Eternal, right?
No, I haven't. No.
But you played the first one. Doom
and I liked it. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah. And Doom Eternal is getting people like it even more than the first one. Right. I have some reservations. I do think that the second game is awesome. It's just harder. I mean, that's the biggest thing about it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I could see them doing Doom DLC. And then the other game that I have on here was just something that I kind of looked at last night that I'd never even heard of before, was this game that was announced for PS5 called Godfall. Have you heard of this?
I have heard of this.
And I was just like watching a trailer on it, and it was showing, some gameplay, but it was one of those like gameplay trailers where there's like no HUD. It's really hard to tell what's going on. But it is obviously gameplay, and it looks awesome. It's like an action RPG, but I don't know, it's hard to tell based on the gameplay if it's strategic, like a Souls game, or if it's a little bit more, actiony, button mashy, like a Diablo game. Right. It's kind of hard to tell, but it looks great. And
it definitely looks cool.
So I'm curious, but I don't know how the information about this game was rolled out. So for all I know, this fucking could have been in the Microsoft conference, and then it wouldn't make any sense to put it in the PlayStation conference. Yeah. Because I didn't watch the Microsoft conference.
I think it was. I think that's how I saw it. But
okay. Then it's probably not going to be in the Sony conference. I just saw, because I was looking up like what games have been announced for PS5 already. Yeah. And that was just one that popped up that was of interest to me. But I haven't obviously watched the Microsoft conference, so I wasn't aware that it was in that.
Yeah, man, for sure. I had on here, we might see some gameplay from Beyond Good and Evil 2. I don't know.
That game's been kind of like in a hole for a long time.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's going to happen. I doubt it is, but I mean, I'm not ruling it out. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm like, oh yeah, that little thing still exists. And then my last one that I had, and then I'll let you finish up, that we might see a new Batman game.
Oh yeah, like or even what's going on with Rocksteady. I mean, even if it's the Justice League game, or whatever the hell it is,
or the Marvel Avengers game or something.
Yeah. Well, the Marvel Avengers game is being made by Crystal Dynamics, I think.
I'm not sure, but we're going to see some sort of superhero game.
Yeah, and I was actually going to bring Marvel Avengers up. I just thought about it. It wasn't on my list because I was just browsing PlayStation's YouTube page, and they had all this shit in there about Marvel Avengers. So I was like, oh, well, they might maybe talk about this at press conference or whatever you want to call this thing. But yeah, I could definitely see them doing some kind of a superhero. It could even be the fucking next Spider-Man. I have no idea, but I could see them definitely doing some kind of superhero thing to kind of round out the conference, or the whatever it is.
Yeah, dude.
So the only 2 things I have on here that are left are like my my pie in the sky, what they could talk about kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is that Bethesda Game Studios game, Starfield.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years ago, they talked about it, at the Bethesda press conference. And then they just that was 2 or 3 years ago. I'm wondering, we haven't seen anything about it. Like, it has to be coming. And so I'm curious if they might utilize a platform like the PlayStation conference to announce it. But it could be that, maybe for a game like Starfield, they want to do their own thing. Now, I have a hard time, but Starfield's a new IP, so I don't think it's going to have the gravity. So I could see as something like an Elder Scrolls or a Fallout. So I could see them putting a Starfield in like the Sony conference. Yeah, if they were going to talk about the Elder Scrolls 6, they would have their own fucking event for it, because it's just, that game is going to draw so much attention that they don't need someone else to launch it. But yeah, Starfield was one of those things where I don't know if they would do it. I feel like we almost have to hear about it by the end of this year, but I don't know, because most people, and it's really unfortunate for Bethesda, because I honestly feel like most people want Starfield to come out so that they can finish working on the Elder Scrolls 6. And that's really unfortunate for Bethesda.
Yeah.
But I am actually interested in like, what would a Fallout or a Elder Scrolls game in space look like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool.
Like, would it be like an Outer Worlds, or would it be, something a little bit more, high tech? I would love to see like a high tech sci-fi.
Yeah.
In space, like something far flung future, not this like the Outer Worlds is it's like basically they just ripped Fallout and put it in space. So it's all this like retro futuristic stuff and everything. Like, I would love it to go more of a Mass Effect route where everything is like super sci-fi. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be cool, man.
But we'll have to see. And then my other like final pie in the sky, not so much prediction, more, I guess, a desire out of this thing, would be to see them talk about Diablo 4.
Ooh.
Because they've already announced it, and there's a trailer out there with gameplay footage and all this stuff. This is probably maybe a year, if not a year ago, maybe 6 months ago. It would be cool for them to come out and be like, check this out. And it's running on PS5, and I don't know. I think it would be awesome. Now, typically they usually refer that kind of stuff for BlizzCon and that type of shit. So we might not see it. We probably won't see it, but it would be cool to see, because Diablo is one of my favorite franchises, I guess, in history. Dude. Going back to the first Diablo, but more so Diablo 2.
It would be kind of cool to see something like that. I don't know. I'm excited about this announcement. I'm definitely going to watch. I just think that it's weird that it's on a Thursday. That's weird.
It's like Thursday at 4:00 in the afternoon too.
Yeah, so we're like most Americans are working.
Yes. So, it'll be one of those things where I'll probably watch it when I get home from work or something.
Yeah.
Or depending on what I'm doing. Like if I'm not busy at work, maybe I'll just watch it at work when it comes out. But,
yeah. I'll watch it when I get home.
Yeah, it would definitely.
There you go, man.
We should definitely have quite a bit to talk about next weekend, I would think.
I would hope so. Yeah. So
I hope so. I hope they don't just come out and just, shit a big turd on us with this conference like Microsoft did. But
anything's possible. They've been so guarded and so quiet about everything. So just to run through the games that we think you might see or hear at this announcement on June 4th is maybe more on The Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima on a PS5, new Uncharted game, new Call of Duty, Destiny 2 possibly on the PS5, or just more stuff for Destiny on the PS5. Maybe something VR related like Blood and Truth, Resistance maybe, Fortnite 2, which would be crazy, Ratchet and Clank game, a Sly Cooper game maybe, Gran Turismo, a sequel to either God of War, Spider-Man, or Horizon, or Days Gone, Dreams, or maybe some sort of Media Molecule initiative, maybe some crazy announcement with Kojima and Del Toro, maybe not doing Silent Hill, but doing something similar, another scary game or something. We might see some DLC content for Doom Eternal, Godfall maybe not, Beyond Good and Evil 2, a Batman game, Starfield, and possibly Diablo 4.
Now, just a couple more things. We didn't talk about any indie games because they're a little bit harder to nail down.
Yeah.
Than obviously these AAA kind of predictions.
Yeah.
But right. what if they came out and they announced like
house marquee game,
like a Housemarque game, or like Hotline Miami 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that would be awesome.
That would be really cool, man.
You know, and the other thing that I've just been, you know, like I was just browsing the PlayStation YouTube channel. This isn't something that they would probably do, but like if PSVR came out and they announced, like for PSVR, they announced like the next Beat Saber game or something like that.
Yeah, something
would
exciting.
Be huge. You know what I mean? I don't think they will. I mean, probably more than likely they could come out and say like, for Beat Saber, we're releasing this many new song packs, or like the ability to play custom music or something like that. I don't know. I mean,
make your
Beat
own
Saber
songs.
You know, that's a third party thing. So
yeah.
I mean, overall, I think we made quite a few
predictions.
I
mean, we got to be right on at least one of them.
Yeah.
If we come out swinging and we're absolutely striking out and we don't get one of these right, then I don't even know. I'll just be really disappointed, because I mean, one of these things has to be on there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of like almost locks, I feel like, in that list that if they don't do, it's like if we get completely blown out, I'll be shocked.
Well, next show we'll let you know how many we got right. We won't tell you how many we got wrong, but we'll tell you how many predictions we made accurately. Yeah. So, man, there's not really much else to say. I think it was a good podcast. Usually we go over the drop. PlayStation has not put that up on their blog yet. It should have been out on the 29th. Which it wasn't. So that's kind of weird that there's no drop on the blog right now, the PlayStation blog, for this upcoming week. Maybe there's just not anything coming out. I don't know. Couldn't answer that. I don't know. So if you guys want to check out what's coming out, just go check out the PlayStation blog later, I guess.
I'm excited to see what's next. I mean, all this shit is, you know, making it even harder for me to finish Final Fantasy VII, but really looking forward to seeing what's going on with the console. I'm hoping that, I don't know if they'll announce the price or release date, because you have to imagine that as soon as they announce the price or release date, the pre-orders will go live. So if they did do that, I would want to make sure that I watched it kind of right away, because I want to get a pre-order in pretty much as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And you know what else sucks is I got to go out and buy a fucking 4K TV as well. Yeah, I don't know when the PS5 is going to launch, but you know, let's say the PS5 launches in the middle of November. You know, you might have to wait a couple weeks for Black Friday or whatever, but I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Well, hey, good talking with you today. Thanks to everybody for tuning into the show. This has been episode 141 of PS This Is Awesome. We'll be back next weekend talking about the June 4th conference Sony's about to hold. And I guess we'll chime in on all that. Until then, make sure you guys tune into the YouTube channel. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, subscribe up there. I've been putting new content up almost daily now. And it seems to hopefully be doing the podcast a little bit of good. So, I guess that's all I have. So like Beyond Good and Evil, BioShock, and Blood and Truth. P.S. This is awesome.